Wednesday, everyone. I'm Esther Watrous.
I'm Juji Watrous.
I'm Elisha Watrous.
And I'm Alex Watrous.
And we're here to remind you what day it is.
So, this week, we're going to start off with one of our classic segments, but I'm going to have a slightly different spin on it. Normally, we would do New This Week, and because last week we ended up spending the whole episode talking about the history of Pirate Wednesday, I decided this week we would instead do a segment called New This Past 2 Weeks, in which basically you can talk about anything new you learned or did in the past 2 weeks. So I want to start off with Juji because I know she's been biting at the bit in particular.
Oh gosh, okay. So I learned a couple weeks ago that my professor is a vampire.
Oh, gee.
Okay,
Oh.
Explain.
Yeah, there needs more explanation.
So when I first got him, I have a couple of upperclassmen friends that have had him, and they described him to me as like looking kind of like a vampire, right?
You know,
And
afraid of garlic,
that he's goth.
Widow's Peak.
Yeah, sure. So then, and I was like, all right, and I kind of knew what he looked like, and I agreed. So he's like goth, right?
Okay.
And he really does look like a vampire. So then I was like talking with my friends once, something about Batman and Batman versus Dracula. My friends told me that this movie existed, and so I decided to look it up. And there was this particular scene where Batman beats Dracula, and I paused the video right when Dracula came on because he looked exactly like my professor. Like, exactly.
So, what does this professor teach?
He's one of my art professors.
Oh. Does he paint in blood?
No, but...
Well, all right, Alex, how about this? Let me turn that on your head. Do you paint in corn dogs? Like,
Sometimes.
Just because you eat something doesn't mean you paint with it.
All right, Elisha, it's just a joke.
So anyways...
I know.
So then, at some point, another one of my friends just casually mentioned that he has fangs. Like, actual fangs.
Like extraordinary canine teeth fangs?
I guess so. Like maybe he sharpened them or something. Filed them down. So I was like, does he really have fangs? Because I wanted to know. I just kind of watched his teeth to see, like, while he was talking, if he had fangs in his mouth. And sure enough, he did. So yes, he's a vampire. Not to mention his Instagram.
Wow, you see,
His profile picture is him as a Dracula, so I guess that's...
Wow, all right. Welcome
So I
to the
guess
new age.
That kind of completes it.
Wow, and you creeped on his Instagram, so that's
Oh,
something.
and this week I saw him... No, my friend showed it to me. It was funny.
Yeah, your friend, okay.
Well, this week he was, like, squinting at bright lights, so further proof.
Wow.
I think you need to take
I
a
just-
photo of him. We need some more proof there.
No, but that's the thing. Like, you can't take a photo of Dracula; it won't show up. He doesn't
won't-
have a reflection.
He won't shut up.
Exactly.
with the
So
photo.
you got to show us that it didn't show up.
It's a drawing class, so I could just draw him,
okay.
and then...
There you go. All right. Well, it's gonna be kind of hard to top that one. But so what about you guys, Esther, Alex?
So I had
You-
something really odd happen to me today. I wanted to share. It's just sort of a fun story. I guess it's a new I learned, but I'm just gonna work it that way.
Okay.
So we're having some issues with the septic, and I've already talked to the guy about getting it fixed, but we're starting to have issues where, like, the water won't go down. So I can't do laundry anymore at this point. It's just ridiculous because there's just nowhere for the water to go quick enough. So I'd have to keep stopping the load, like, midway through, like quarter way through the load. Just was not even worth it at that point. Anyway, so I'm like old-fashioned-y style down by the creek trying to wash some towels, right? that were dirty because we
Yeah.
had to clean up a mess before, and they're like good towels, so I didn't want them to go bad or get moldy, so I'm like, oh, I gotta clean them. So I'm down at the creek. I'm like old-fashioned-y, like draining them and like squishing them and like trying to like get the soap into them and everything.
What type
And
of soap are you using for this?
there's like a soap that we bought that's supposed to be like good for like environment.
Okay.
So I'm not like draining like you poisonous like soaps into the creek.
Okay,
Luckily,
just making sure, because
No,
that would be terrible.
Esther needs some soap right now because she has ice cream all over her.
oh god. All right, don't sidetrack
It's
from my
true.
story. I got it. This is a good one. All right, so I'm like
Okay.
I'm using a bucket and I'm like pushing hard to try to like squeeze the the soap into it and try to like make sure it gets in every pore. And when I'm doing that, it's kind of pushing bubbles out. It's making like sort of like a weird sort of like I can't really explain the noise, but it's sort of just this like sort of air pockety noise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, I start hearing like a familiar sound that I normally don't hear till like late at night, and I'm like, "That's weird." I'm like, "What's going on?" And I look around because I start hearing it more. It's like in front of me, and I realize I realize the sound is like it's like a croaking coming from like a toad or like a frog, and then I
Yeah.
hear it again, but like closer, and I see like this really cool like frog. He's like green with like dark green spots and like a red underbelly. It's like the type of frog you'd like never see during the day. And this frog is coming out, and every time I'm like pushing on the towel and making like that sort of bubbly like pot like that sort of air pocket noise, then he like makes his noise back at me. And I was like, what the heck? I'm like, this is so weird. I was just like, what? Like this like frog apparently, I don't know. Maybe those types of frogs, they like that sound to them signifies like their, you know what I mean? Maybe that's their language or something. I don't know. So I
Or a
just was
mating
really
call.
interested, and I was very confused at first, and then I was like, wow, what? This is kind of cool. Especially because like I've
You
seen
had a conversation with a
there's all
frog.
kinds of little guys running around, little frogs. I guess this wouldn't be a frog. This would be more of a toad. But yeah, so you don't normally see like these type of toads out during the day. It kind of looked like the Hypnotoad a little bit. Now that I'm thinking about it. Well, anyway, that's my fun story, and I guess I learned that if you apply pressure to wet towels in a bucket, it sort of sounds like the mating call of a frog or toad. So that's what I learned this week.
Mating.
That's a good takeaway.
All right. Yeah.
What about you, Esther?
I'm still thinking. How about you, Elisha?
All right. So the last 2 weeks have actually been especially busy for me. I went to see Froggy Fresh, which is this like
More frogs.
I know.
well, yeah, actually, yeah, I guess on theme. So I went to go see his concert in Rochester, New York.
What is
actually
the
originally-
genre anyway? I was confused. I don't know anything about him.
All right, so it's kind of it's goofy. It's kind of goofy rap. Basically, he created these characters, Froggy Fresh and Moneymaker Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty much all the songs have to do with him and his friend facing the bully James. And so one of my favorite songs that he has to do with him and Moneymaker Mike getting into their Power Ranger costumes to go to the playground to stop James from like hurting another kid. And so it basically there's this whole dialogue that goes on in the rap about him fighting with Moneymaker Mike because his Mighty Morpher watch isn't working properly. 'Cause he
Wait, but
made
I
it.
know this song though. Isn't it a really popular song?
It's a possibility. I definitely played it in the car while you were there, but in general, he had a bit of like YouTube fame for a little while. He was at one point called, I think, like Krispy Kreme or something, but the donut company like got like super pissed with him, and there was this big lawsuit, so he had to change his name to Froggy Fresh. But he was even on like Tosh.0. He actually has a song all about like Tosh.0 and everything as well.
Oh, really?
But yeah, so it's just this like really like goofy, like weird sort of rapper. really cool dude. Jill and I ended up buying the meet and greet ticket, so we went and like met him ahead of time. We got posters signed, and yeah, he's just
When you
seems like a
say
really
he's like
chill sort
kind
guy.
of goofy and he raps about these silly things, you make him seem like not legitimate. But I do remember that song being like very good. Like
No, as I
like a
said,
really
it's actually
good
on
rap-
my
yeah.
jams playlist.
Yeah.
And if you listen to a lot of his songs, lyrically they're really like simple and like in some ways predictable. But I don't know, it surpasses just being like weird or like bad into like its own spot where it ends up being good again because he does it well. It's kind of like what we used to try to do with Foxtrap. So for those of you that don't know, Alex,
they don't want to know. Trust me.
yeah, well, anyhow, basically at one point
I
we
wouldn't
did
even
some
compare
really
it to anything because
Well,
it's
okay,
so
but-
bad.
no, it's terrible. But basically, we did some really intentionally crappy rap videos for this fake rap group that we made up, and it was intentionally bad, but it wasn't good bad. It just ended up being
no.
bad. Whereas with Froggy Fresh, it's kind of ridiculous. Like he has raps about like John Cena.
Yeah, but I
But
feel
it-
I feel like the way it's
Wasn't
rapped,
it-
you don't even realize it's like a not really parody, but it's like sort of a joke. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like whereas
sometimes.
like a Little Dicky, he raps about obscene sort of stories and things and stuff, and it's like very clear that he's being like a parody rapper. You know what I mean? Whereas
No, with
Froggy Fresh,
Froggy-
I feel like at least with the song that I heard, it's very like, oh, this is a really cool song, and then you were like, oh, by the way, the lyrics are this, and I was like, what?
If you listen to some of his other songs, he's a lot closer to Little Dicky in the sense that he's a lot more direct with the story that he's telling.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not crude like Little Dicky is. His are more interesting and kind of fun and stuff. But so that's not even actually necessarily my new this week.
Yeah, I was gonna say because
Yeah, that was.
you have something more exciting.
Yeah, no, Juju knows what my other thing is. So, real quick, saw him, a lot of fun. I got a chance to, in the last 2 weeks, go kayaking in the Broad Canal in Boston, which was a lot of fun. Saw Apocalyptica for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Went to Bad Movie Marathon yesterday, all 3D movies. Like Friday the 13th 3D, so like the third one, but it was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, but a lot of fun. It was 10 hours straight of just movies, 3D movies from like the 70s and 80s, or even I think they might have all just been from the 70s. But anyhow, so the new this week or this past 2 weeks I wanted to go with Juji, myself, our friend Reed and our friend Emily. We all went to go see My Brother and Me, which is another podcast that got me interested in kind of goofy podcasts. And while there, waiting in line, I ended up high-fiving Lin-Manuel Miranda. So I know Juji knows who he is. Esther might.
I also high-fived him.
Well, Juji also did as well. I don't know if Alex and Esther do.
No clue.
But are you familiar with the musical
Esther?
Hamilton?
Yes.
I am.
Yeah.
So the lead of Hamilton and
the writer,
one
right?
who's also the writer for Hamilton
Oh.
is really good friends with the brothers from My Brother and Me. And he's been a big fan of them since basically they started almost, and they've become like best friends. So he sometimes goes to their shows, and so they just like came outside and started like high-fiving everybody. And I didn't even see them until like moments before I like high-fived him, and was like, what just happened? And I like famous people are really just people, so I don't usually get like awestruck, but it was just kind of I can't believe that just happened. Like there was no mental preparation for it or anything like that. It was just kind of out of the nowhere.
Yeah, we didn't know he was gonna be there, and I think that was the only show he was at because my friend actually ended up going to the show in Boston and he wasn't there.
Yeah, no, because he.
So I think it was just because it was in New York.
Yeah, because he lives in New York. So the show that we went to was in New York. And furthermore, so at the beginning of the show, he ended up playing like a little goofy song that has to do with like inside jokes from the podcast itself. So he played just like this one-off, like little piano solo song that he wrote, which was awesome to see as well, because haven't got a chance to see Hamilton or anything like that, but to see something from someone who creates such like really interesting stuff like Hamilton, and then sees like a dorky little thing that he did for his friends.
Yeah, it was a song about shrimp.
Yep.
Was
a song about
it
shrimp.
like on the fly or something, or you think it was scripted?
No.
No, well, he wrote it. He definitely wrote it, and he like I'm sure he planned to do it, but it had to do with like a previous episode of the show, a running joke on the show at the moment. But yeah, so that was I did a lot of interesting and different things this past week, but that one was in particular probably the hardest one to repeat for sure, and definitely an interesting new experience. So Esther, what about you?
I don't really do new things.
Wow.
Weekly.
Do you learn new things?
Sucks.
Well, because Gigi, I actually have a job.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't just go to school 4 days a week and then hang out in my room 3 days.
So
the
there's
rest of
a
it.
little
Getting
there's a little
brutal
anger
over
there.
there.
Yeah. Someone's a little grumpy.
Okay, but you must have
When I'm
learned
not at school,
something
I'm
in
working,
school.
and when I'm not working,
All
I'm
right,
at school.
Esther.
Did you learn anything in school, Esther? You're going to school. You could be doing something there. Maybe you learned about like a new cafe somewhere. I don't know.
I actually have not.
In the past 2 weeks?
Well, so I guess this is kind of new. I've been like starting to eat products with eggs in it because I thought I was allergic to eggs when I was around 15, so I took them out of my diet, and it's been 5 years, and I'm not eating eggs, but I've been eating like some breads with eggs in it and stuff, and so far so good. Like, I don't feel the greatest, but I don't feel terrible either. So anyways, the other day I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a, I think it's like called like a macaron.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to
Wait,
have one of those for
macaroon?
the first time in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a macaroon because a macaroon is coconut.
Oh. All right. Then.
But a macaron is a little like French sandwich
Yeah, I
cookie
know what you're talking about.
pastry thing. And I've never had one in my life, and I honestly don't think they look that appetizing, but people, I don't know, people rave over
Yeah, I
them.
don't know
do
what
tend
the
to
big
have
deal
one.
about them is either. I mean, they're all right, but they're not worth like what they cost.
Yeah, anyway, so I did try some, and I got 2 flavors, and I got a peanut butter chocolate one, and I got a apple sun butter one or something.
Where did you get them from?
I got them in Providence from like a bakery, like cafe kind of thing. It's called Ellie's.
Mm-hmm.
It's downtown, and they actually make like all their pastries and stuff there. So they have a lot of them, and so I got 2, and I had the peanut butter chocolate. I was like, this is not good. And then I was later told that you're not supposed to get chocolate flavored. Like, you're only supposed to get fruity or florally flavored macarons because they like are just designed that way or something. It's really weird. So I had the other one, and it actually did taste good. It's like a little sweeter, I guess, like a little denser and sweeter than I thought it was going to be, which was pleasing because I just kind of thought it was going to taste like a marshmallow.
Oh.
But overall though, I mean, I wasn't like overwhelmed by the experience. Like, I wasn't, I don't know, I guess like it didn't exceed my expectations or anything, so.
I think
But that was a new experience because I've never had one in my life before.
I think
Yeah,
when
no,
I
that
had one
definitely
for the
counts.
first time, it was from that same place too. But I didn't know it. I didn't.
Really?
Yeah, Ellie's or something in downtown Providence. It's like a little cafe.
Yeah, Yeah, it's really nice. I like it.
Yeah, it's a
there.
nice little spot.
And so they have gluten-free stuff?
The macarons are gluten free. Like I think generally they're gluten free, unless they tell you otherwise. Because technically it's not really in the recipe, like the normal recipe for them to have flour. Because it's kind of like an egg based cookie, like a like what are those things called?
Oh,
Like
I'm drawing a blank on that too.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it has any flour in it.
Oh, you know what I'm craving right now that you're talking about these little delicacy things? You guys have all had mochi
What?
balls, right? The
No.
little Asian
Oh,
like
yeah,
dough
those are good.
ice cream balls.
I've had them, but I don't really like them that much.
You got to try.
I guess I didn't have like a
Did
good
you
kind,
did
I
you
don't
try the
think.
green tea ones? Those are the best ones.
Well, I don't like green tea.
Well, you'd
wow.
like this. It's good. You're gonna like it, okay?
I haven't had that, but I've had green tea fried ice
Oh,
cream.
that sounds good.
I forget if I've had green tea ice cream. I don't think I've had green tea fried ice cream. But
Yeah.
okay, well, let's get off the topic of food because that's making me hungry. On to our next segment. Now, this is one that we've done once before that I wanted to do again, which is a segment called Let's Get Real. And so the purpose of this segment is where we ask a question that may not always have a funny answer, but is definitely produces an honest answer, and if it's funny, that's okay too. So this week's question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And what I really want out of this question, what I want you guys to think about is, like 5 years from now, kind of, what do you see life being like? What do you kind of figure you might be doing? How do you expect your life to kind of be structured 5 years from now?
Well, if I was Elisha in 5 years, I'd still be living with mom. So let me just throw that out there, which means I've got a long ways to go.
He's not even living with mom now.
Yeah, but Elisha's 6 years older
Then
than me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
if you,
I got the
if
joke.
you were like Elisha.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that makes
drawing
sense.
There's a
parallels.
deep
So,
burn.
so you're basically saying that as long as you get out within less time than Elisha took, then you're in the clear.
Yep.
All right,
pretty
cool.
much.
Sounds good to me.
Great.
Yeah.
You've set the
That's-
standard, Elisha. That's what happens when you're the first child.
Yeah. Oh, ouch. To be fair, I moved out multiple times. I just had to move back
Just kept
home.
coming back.
You did.
I moved out to go to school in Boston, and then I moved out to get an apartment with a friend of mine and my fiance at the time, and then I had to move back home, and then I moved out again to live with a previous girlfriend, and then broke up, and then had to move back home. So I've left a few times.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, there's that.
What's ironic about it is that this last time that you moved out
Hmm.
is the closest from home you've been. So every time you moved out and then moved back in, when you moved out, you moved a little bit closer to
Oh
home.
my God! No, you're right. Because it was
Oh my
it was
God.
Boston, then it was Warwick, then it was Bristol, and now it's Warren. Holy crap! You're right. That's so weird. Like basically,
next
I'm gonna
step
end
is
up buying the
to-
next door house.
Yeah, that's
like,
what
buy
I'm
the house
saying.
next door.
Well, now I know who's going to take care of Mama in her old age.
Someone's gotta. It's not gonna be Juji in her weak arms. That's for sure. You think you could
Actually, Gigi has really strong arms.
I would get her
She
life
has-
alert.
she
Get
has,
a life
She
alert?
fell. I wouldn't be able to pick her
Poor
up.
mom. Oh my goodness, you guys are terrible.
Well, it sounds like Esther is at least not going to be living with mom in 5 years, but that's all we really know so far.
So Esther, what are some other things you expect in like 5 years from now? Because by then you'll be graduated.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, like,
I really don't know.
so the reason I asked this.
What do you hope?
I don't hope for anything.
Oh, so
Wow.
negative, Esther.
That's
so drama.
sad.
I don't. What am I supposed to do? Make something up?
No,
Yeah,
well,
basically.
Well,
yes and
I
no.
want to be a pop star. And I want to
See-
have sleepovers with Hannah Montana.
Oh my god. You have to bring that up.
You still, yeah. So for those of you listening, the one or two of you, back in the day, Esther really, really wanted to eventually basically be Hannah Montana. I don't really know if you've like figured out exactly how that works.
It was both of us, really.
Not
yeah,
to throw Esther
no, it was
under the
definitely
bridge.
both of you.
No, Georgie wanted
I'm throwing
to be,
myself under the bridge,
Georgie wanted
really.
to be Selena Gomez. That's why she dressed like Selena Gomez for Halloween.
That was a bad costume. We don't talk about that.
And then she wanted to be a hobbit.
Oh, hey, we'll
Okay, that one was a better
we'll talk
costume,
about-
She glued fur
actually.
to her
We'll talk
feet.
about our
honestly.
costumes come this October for our Halloween episode.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Possibly, yeah. Let's save
Yeah,
that
we'll,
for...
we'll, we'll
Well,
save Gigi's
okay,
weird
so do you want me to
costumes for that.
explain the story here with Esther?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, well, I think what was going on was Mom was doing this thing yearly where it was like, what are your dreams, your aspirations? Like, where do you want to see yourself next year? Where do you want to see yourself in the next 10 years? And Esther was younger.
It was for New Year's.
It was a New Year's thing, a little way that we'd celebrate our New Year's, sort of like with New Year's resolutions and things like that. But I think something on the lines of Juji's and Esther's were very similar, but Esther's was to the effect of something like, I want to meet Hannah Montana and or like, you know, not be her, but like become a pop star, and I don't know, just very funny generic things that we all had
Georgie,
a
back
good
then,
laugh.
Georgie just copied my dreams.
Yeah, that's what younger siblings
guess.
do.
Yeah, you weren't your own person until.
It's because
around
Mom
teen
kept
time.
dressing us the same.
Yeah, I think in the last
And then
episode
I
we
just
talked
kind of
about
got
that
used
a bit.
to it.
And then everyone was like, "Okay, Georgie, your favorite color is pink," and then you're like, "Okay."
Yeah. and then my entire closet in 6th grade was pink. And then I got really annoyed by it.
Georgie, did you know that the pink we painted your room isn't the pink that you picked out
Yeah, you told me.
at Home Depot? Because we lost it, so we got a new pink.
I'm kind of sick of this room in a way because I kind of just want it to be minimalistic now. But then I'd have to like throw a ton of stuff out.
You're gonna paint the walls all
So
white
then-
You have
now,
a
and
sticker on every corner of your room. Like every inch
Yeah.
of your room there's a sticker.
Everything's just gonna be white.
Yeah, Juge, I don't like.
There'll be one colored painting. That's it.
that sounds pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I'm tired of my room too.
Then move out.
Wow.
I want it to be gray, everything gray.
Yeah, Alex has the idea. Why don't you just move out?
Cause I'm in school.
Well, 5 years from now you won't be. So
That's true.
see, I'm bringing it back in.
Yeah. Bring it back to the
Well,
conversation that we
Let's
should
jump.
be having.
Let's jump to Juji, and see what she says.
What will I be
Georgie
doing
wants
in
to have
5 years?
a job, hopefully.
Hopefully I'll be graduated.
Yep.
And hopefully I'll find some sort of job in like either animation, maybe making video games, maybe I'll like do coding or something. Maybe I'll be working IT at some random company. I don't know.
But Juji, you've already made a
But
video
have
game.
something. Yeah. But I can make better ones.
We should
I don't
post
like
that
that
video
game.
game online somewhere.
We should actually.
Oh no. Are you talking about the clean your room one?
Yeah,
or
that's so funny. I love it. Oh, can I explain this one? I know we're
Sure.
sidetracking a lot
Yeah.
here and trying to. But okay, so Juji had a class with one of my favorite teachers from back in the day from high school. I had no idea that she had made this whole game. I guess you were probably, from what I can assume, you probably like were one of the only students to actually finish the project. Is that true, or?
Well, okay, they kind of did it, but they were also fooling around most of the time, so they didn't. It wasn't to the extent of what I made.
Yeah. All I know is that the teacher, this guy that I know pretty well, he was very impressed with Juji's work and thought the game was really funny. He ended up reaching out to me and telling me about it. I had no idea because Juji didn't tell me for whatever reason. And when I found out the premise, I was like, I gotta play this game. It sounds hilarious. So the premise of the game is that it's like a click and drag game. And you have to it's sort of like a Flash game, like old school Flash, where it's just you've got this one panel and it's like a wide shot of a bedroom, and you've got to like take and drag the items into the appropriate boxes. So if you've got like books, you got to move them to the bookshelf. If you've got like clothes, you got to put them in the hamper. And so it's basically all about trying to clean your room in like a quick amount of time. So it's actually like the way she did it, like obviously there's like a couple of bugs, but like it's pretty funny and it works really well.
You see, there's part of the bugs is because I decided to do that click and drag thing. It's actually a lot harder than like other kind of it's a lot harder to like click and drag objects to like code that. It was a lot harder than I expected. It would have been easier to do like a little RPG where I just kind of like have a character walk around or something.
Yeah.
That would have been so much easier.
Well,
but
the map,
no, I stuck to this.
the mapping on it must be weird too, because there's like multiple places where you can throw an item. So like, you know,
Oh, yeah,
depending on
that-
if you slightly throw,
Added to the difficulty.
yeah, because if it was just like
Definitely.
one bucket and you just threw everything into one area. But anyway, so my favorite part of the game though is when you lose or when time runs up, and if you don't clean everything by the time like the timer runs up. Is it like the door opens or is it just the sound effect? I can't remember what it is, but it's just like
Your mom comes in and she's like, I think she said, "Don't be so lazy. Get up and clean your room." And it was like this it might have been this sound I got from something else.
Oh my god, but it's so funny though. Just the voice or it's like the voice, I think,
I had forgotten she
that
did
makes
that.
it funny. But
Totally
it's,
forgot.
Yeah. Really cool game. So Juji, you're seeing yourself, well, obviously within 5 years you'd be graduated,
Yeah.
hopefully, and maybe working on some games or working on some projects.
Either animation, maybe I'll make games because I'm gonna try to get a minor in computer science.
Mhm.
So
I think,
I don't know.
I believe
Have
it or
like a
not, I
weird
think
mix
that's
of
what
things.
Will is going for right now.
Really?
Really?
Huh.
Yeah. You guys could team up and work on a game together.
yeah.
All right, so that sort of answers the question. Alex, let's see if you can answer it a little bit more honestly, a little bit more clearly. Where do you see
Okay, well,
yourself in 5 years?
I didn't really put a lot of thought into this because I didn't know the question was coming up, like until obviously when you told us. But if I'm going to be honest though, I don't know. Part of it is that I wonder if I'll still be here living in Vermont, or if will have moved back. I actually got asked this question this weekend. Well, not like what I'd be doing in 5 years, but like, you know, how long did I plan on staying here? You know, that kind of question, which you get every once in a while. And yeah, one of the dreams that me and Claudia have together is that like, you know, it doesn't really matter like where we're living as long as like, you know, we have each other.
Yeah.
So part of it is sort of like, yeah, avoiding some of like the normal, like, you know, pay for rent, you know, pay for this, pay for that kind of stuff, and just living sort of like a more of a minimalistic kind of life where it's like, okay, I have what I need. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't need to, like, you know, I don't need to work, like, at the standard job to, like, still be happy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I work to get what I need, you know what I mean, to be happy, and that's it. And not try to, like, you're like, oh, I need to, like, get the next promotion kind of thing. I don't know, like, there's a possibility that, you know, we might find ourselves on the road, maybe doing, like, one of the things we wanted to do is like try to experience like what it would be like to just be on the road for like a year. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't have to like travel a lot, but just sort of like, you know, move from one spot to the other, just kind of like experience different areas and see like what we like and what we don't like. You know, like more long term.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on like road trips and stuff, but it does get a little bit different when you're like living there more permanently. And I think if there's anything that like being up in Vermont, just being somewhere else has taught me is that like, you know, like it could be tough, but it's not like, it's not impossible. A lot of people feel like they can't really go anywhere else. I kind of want to keep that feeling like you can like, you know, you can always try something else. And if you don't like it, you know, it's like this idea that there's like, everything you do has like a permanent consequence, but that's not always true. You know what I mean? Like, you can always come back to certain things. You don't have to just be like, oh, well, if I do this, I make this move, you know, there's no going back. It's not really how it works in real life. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so to answer it simply, maybe on the road, who knows? Or maybe still here, who knows?
All right.
But,
Cool. No, that's the exact type of answer I'm looking for. And the reason I want to ask this question in general is I know, like, for myself in the past, I'm always trying to think like 6 steps ahead, and it gets myself in trouble a lot because I tend to stress myself out about things that not only haven't happened yet, but aren't even necessarily going to happen, but they're already on my mind. Because I tend to like to plan things out and figure my next steps. And so I've always kind of had a general vision for what my future would end up looking like. And always had somewhat of a feel of where I'd be in the next 5 years. And just more recently in life, looking back at that, not only have I always been wrong, but there's just no way I could have predicted 5 years ago or even 2 years ago that I would be where I'm at the moment, whether it's career-wise or just general life and what I'm kind of expecting from life right now, what I'm expecting from my future. And so for me, kind of being in this place where I'm no longer have this clear vision, this expected goal for my future, I'm kind of floating in the dark at the moment. And so I wanted to ask this question as a way of kind of pulling myself in and kind of seeing where you guys are at in thinking about your futures. Because for me...
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
Yeah. So what are you going to say?
I don't really have definite plans, but like I like to leave certain options open and just kind of wing it when I get there. Or just sort of go with the flow a little, but take it day by day. But what were you saying?
Yeah, so in general, like, I don't mind having like a future plan that doesn't follow through. Like, I don't regret any of the times where I had future plans and then as I got closer to those plans, they changed drastically. That's just kind of life. For the most part, I don't let myself stress out too much about. For me, more recently, it's just I kind of clean the slate clear of all my future plans, and I didn't go back in and kind of write new ones. And so that has been more my issue as of lately on, well, what do I want to do with my future? Because right now I'm having a lot of fun trying all these different experiences, and the job I'm at the moment gives me a lot of freedom and flexibility to do these things. I got a decent amount of time off. I don't come home from work feeling exhausted from the day at work. They ask me to do things at work, obviously, but I don't currently have to do things to a level where my job is my main part of my life. Instead, it's just it's where I can get a chance to work hard, where I can get a chance to make some money, and it's my way of funding being able to do other things. And in the moment, I'm happy with the just kind of see where the breeze takes me type of lifestyle. But I do still need some sort of vision for what I'm aiming for, because otherwise right now I'm just treading water. Like, where am I going? What am I doing? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? There's a weird sort of lack of direction, a lack
I
of
need
purpose.
a little bit of gold.
Yeah.
Just balance
Just
it out a bit.
yeah, it's something to aim for. And again, I don't mind that thing that I'm aiming for completely changing. It's just choosing what that thing is and either working really hard at it or even just kind of casually working at it. Even that I'd be fine with. And at the moment, I don't have either of those things. So I've just been trying to
I always found that like having a goal in general is like good mentally for you, because I don't know if it like helps to pass the time, but it sort of like helps to have something that you know is either even not just a goal, but just something that's coming up, you know, something to look forward to, you know.
Yeah, no, it gives things more focus, and it gives things a purpose. And I guess that may be what it kind of comes down to for me. And it might seem a little morbid or a little weird, but I've kind of lost my purpose a little bit. Like, what am I doing right now? Yeah, I'm paying off some bills, and I'm getting a chance to try some interesting life experiences, but purpose-wise, what am I trying to do? And I don't believe in destiny or fate or anything like that. And I was a Christian as a teen, but I no longer consider myself a Christian. So I don't have this mentality of this is my future, or like if I do these certain things, this is what my future will be, or this is the direction my life should go. It's kind of it's like going to an ice cream shop and having like 46 flavors. I have almost too many options before me rather than limiting myself, and as a result, I don't really know where I want to go or what I want to do or what the point of it all is at this point.
I mean, your goal could always just be to like better yourself.
True.
Yeah.
I just know in my mind that ends up being almost too abstract of a goal. Because
Yeah.
then what am I doing with that bettering myself? Like, I'd be better off with my goal is I want to own an apple orchard.
Maybe okay. Here's the goal: be more like Batman.
With dead parents?
Whoa.
No,
Whoa.
not that part. Well, that's just that you just ruined it. Yeah.
Way to go, Jude.
Yeah, Batman's
Way to go, me. That was Alex that ruined that.
I don't know. You brought up Batman.
Batman's most defining quality is his dead parents. That's,
His dead parents.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
God.
guess we could.
Live every
something up.
moment.
That's.
That's something that I just
You
read
gotta-
in Judy's
It's a
room
little
2 seconds
cheesy.
ago. I just read it in your room.
Where does it say that?
On that little candle?
Oh yeah, that weird candle mom got me.
well, no,
I think the most important part is to find something that you really enjoy doing. So, like, if you go out and you try all these different things and you find that none of them really fit the bill of, like, hey, I want to do this, like, weekly. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't know. Then you have to kind of keep searching, I guess. And that's sort of what Juji's saying is, like, maybe it doesn't have to be an abstract idea, like to better yourself. Maybe just opening yourself up to opportunities in general is enough to kind of like feed that energy. You know what I mean? To like, so that way you're always trying something new. You're always, you know, not limiting yourself into like a smaller box. Like, oh, this is going to be me. Which is interesting because it kind of goes against the idea of saying, hey, this is where I think I'm going to be in 5 years, because there's sort of a non-limiting freedom to being able to say, hey, I'm going to like open myself up to like everyday opportunities. And when I find what I really like was, you know, something that I really enjoy doing, then I'm just going to go for it, you know?
and I'm all for that. And I mean, given some of my new this weeks in the past a couple months, I definitely would say I have that sort of mentality of like, hey, an opportunity arises, rather than me being my own worst enemy and holding myself back, I try to jump on it as soon as it happens. But I still just think and I can't say it's for everybody, but I can definitely say for myself, I think I still need that sort of that concrete goal for the future, or concrete in the sense that it's more specific. Like Juju was saying earlier, bettering myself is a general goal, but it doesn't really have an end goal.
Well, I mean, you could find specific goals within that.
Oh no, I agree. I definitely agree. So like one that isn't an apple orchard, one that is actually something I've considered off and on throughout the years, is eventually having my own little, like, I guess you would call it maybe like a cafe type of place, just like a little food shop, something similar to like Eli's Bakery in Warren, where they experiment with like a lot of different interesting foods, and they're always kind of doing something different and mixing it up, and they're very allergy conscious, so something very similar to that, except I'd probably go for something even more low key. But yeah, just eventually maybe having something like that where it's not with the goal set in mind to eventually make it this big business, or make it so that I can have like 6 houses. It's just kind of a semi-simple, yet obviously stressful, because having a restaurant always is anyhow, even if it's a small place, but like a semi-simple sort of project, a thing to kind of work on, a thing to work towards, a thing to invest in. And so just having some...
I know something you can invest in.
What? Well, all right, yes. So I can obviously invest in the house in Vermont, since I'm a co-owner, and the check is on the way. Should be in the mail.
I hope so. Part of why I feel kind of content at the moment with what I'm doing now is because I have that, like, or at least that's what I feel at the moment, is that I have this project that's never ending. And it's like, so, but it's always there though, so it's always like, all right, like I wake up the next day, I have to get up and plan to do the next step, the next thing. As long as there's another project there, I'll keep tinkering along. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, so that in a sense, it's like a fulfilling sort of thing. Plus, you get to work with your hands and stuff like that. So
totally get that. I mean,
and I know in the end it will be worth it, and that's sort of like what makes it. You know what I mean? So I am, in a sense, working towards a larger goal, not just getting, one project done, but having everything done, so that way, multiple people can enjoy it.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree. And anytime I go up to Vermont, one of the reasons I enjoy going up there to work on the house is just because it has this there's something very relaxing about being able to set a goal, physically work on that goal, accomplishing that goal, seeing the fruits of your labor, and then kind of moving on from that. And in general, I don't know, I like working with my hands. I like getting a chance to get creative.
I mean, right now my goal is like school, like getting through school.
And it should be. I mean, that should be where your main focus is.
Yeah.
But since
But that kind of gives me something to focus on.
Yeah, it gives you structure. It gives you kind of all right, this is what most of my attention is going to. But now that I am 26, I'll be 27 soon. I have a job. I have graduated from college, and I am semi-single. Like, life is in this kind of weird flux state right now where there isn't this solid thing I'm working towards. So at the moment, I'm trying to...
Hey, you know what's scary?
Figure that out. What's scary?
What's scary is in 5 years. In 5 years, I'm going to be 30.
Well, in just about 5 years, yeah, you'll be close to 30, and in 5 years, I will already be in my 30s for a little while there.
That's a bit scary considering how quickly the last 7 years have gone by.
And for our 2 listeners out there who are definitely 29, not 30 or much older anyhow, Mom. But it's not. We're not.
Does
we're,
Mom
we're-
actually listen to the podcast?
She's listened to one episode. I heard our
Oh
voices
no,
in the other room.
she's like binged them.
Oh, really?
Oh, she got so mad listening to one earlier.
Oh, which one was that?
Because Alex was talking about his bee allergy, and Mom was like holding her breath the entire time.
Oh, jeez.
Like, is my son alive?
She's like, oh no, he got stung by a bee and he didn't tell me.
Oh, gosh. Whoops. Well, what I was getting at is we aren't reacting to 30 as if it's very old. It's just that it's so much farther along in life than we it's so much farther along in life, and also at the same time so much closer than we ever kind of anticipated. It's just right around the bend. I am now, and have been for a while, closer to 30 than I am to 20, and it's strange.
Yeah, I mean, 30's not really that old,
No,
but
30
yeah,
is not old at all. 30 is still very young,
not.
but
pretty young.
and the closer I get to it, the more I realize how young 30 is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like when you were a teenager and you looked at 20-year-olds and they're like, oh man, they're so like grown up and mature. And now being in my mid to late 20s, I'm like, no, they aren't. They really aren't.
When you're like elementary or middle school, you look at 30 and you're like, oh gosh, they're so old. But then you get closer and you realize, oh,
I'm pretty young.
yeah, it's not really that.
Okay, so for our last segment of the evening, we have a listener question coming from Joe Vaccaro. And he says, why are people generally so stupid? Thoughts?
Why are people generally so stupid?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like a lot of people think that people are getting more stupid, but honestly, I feel like they've always been the same amount of stupid.
Oh, no, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Everyone's the same amount of stupid, except people are more open about their stupid because of social media.
Well, you see it more.
Yeah,
You
there's
typically see it more.
there's a constant Twitter spotlight on how stupid some people can be.
Because then all the
Well,
stupid people get
Because
trending.
it's interesting. Because there's more of, like, people nowadays have the ability to educate themselves, like, independently and also learn from others. And just, I don't know, just get a lot more information out there. So you'd think that people wouldn't be so clueless or act so stupid, like, in general.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that, like, people are just so vastly different from each other, like, especially depending on, like, where you live. There's, like, lots of things that go into it.
But also, now you can record your stupidity. Before you could kind of keep it more of a secret, but now you just kind of make a video and you put it online, and it's all there.
Yeah, it just, I think as we were saying before, it's more obvious now how stupid everybody is. Where, like, even just back in the 90s, the best glimpse you had at that is AFV. And
Yeah.
and now it's just daily you get this news article or that.
The
or
whole
this.
entire internet is AFV at the moment.
It really is. Because you even have, like, the funny cat videos.
Yeah.
Memes.
And yeah, more or less. Yeah. Any other thoughts on why people are generally stupid?
No, I liked all the answers.
We're good with this.
Yeah.
That's why people are generally stupid, is they always have been, and we're just more aware of it now. Yeah. No, I'm
Is that basically, yeah? I mean, yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to wrap it up.
Yes, it is. So thanks to
All right.
our only two listeners, Uncle Richie and our mom, for listening in as always. Esther.
And now we have confirmation that our mom actually listens to it.
That is true. Up
All
until
right.
now, it's been just a joke.
All right. So you can find us on Twitter at Pirate Wednesday without the S, Instagram Pirate Wednesdays, Facebook Pirate Wednesdays, YouTube Pirate Wednesdays, Pirate Wednesdays at gmail.com. You can contact us that way, and you can also rate and subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything.
Yes. So those are all the things.
I love that. I love the way how it just spills out all over everything.
Yep. Just everything.
This, that, and everything you can imagine. All of it.
So basically, if you have any listener questions or suggestions for segments or suggestions for the show, we'd honestly love to hear from any of our couple listeners. In all seriousness, I do know that we have like maybe 3 or 4 people who have listened to most of the episodes, and we'd love to hear from you guys. Even just more listener questions, and definitely contact us through either Twitter or the email address for sure. Beyond that, another thing that I'd love to hear about from some of you guys. Normally at the end of the show, I try to promote a friend or family member's creative project or something that they do in the arts. And this week I don't have anything to promote, but I would like to just kind of reinforce that if you do have something, or if you have a friend who does something, let us know. We'd love to put a little spotlight on it. And as we start to get more listeners, if we get any more listeners, I'd love to continue to give other artists of all forms a chance to have their work promoted further. Juge, you want to sign us off?
Don't forget to shave your belly with a rusty razor.